All right, let's go to our good friend John McLaughlin of McLaughlin and Associates. He is one of the leading pollsters in America, and I go back with John. I guess, oh my God, he must be 30 years or something. Very long time. I first met John when I was a supporter of the Steve Forbes for President campaign in, I think it was 96, right? It was
Right.
96 is when I first met John. And I invited him to I was a publisher in Florida. I invited him to Steve to a big publishers meeting. And that's how I first met John on the campaign trail. And that was back in the Steve Forbes days when he was running for president. Actually, he was ahead of New Hampshire for like weeks. And then I remember, I always tell this story because I got memory. Was a Haley Barber flew to your headquarters in New Jersey and begged you guys to stop running the negative ads on Bob Dole in New Hampshire. Remember that?
Well, I don't remember him coming to the headquarters, but they were saying that to the press a lot. So, but there were a lot of positive ads like flat tax and term limits, and there was more far
That's
more
why it was
positive
winning.
ads.
That's
Yeah,
why it was
yeah.
winning. So I always thought if he was a nominee in '96, I always thought he would have beat Clinton just on the flat tax alone. You're the president's pollster. You've been very involved in this. The president's approval rating, according to one poll, actually went up after this happened. Where's it stand
Right.
now? Give us a bird's eye view. What's happening with the base, John?
By the way, that was the Rasmussen Reports poll, and it was it's a reputable poll. And I just want to point out that since then, over the weekend, in the last couple of days,
John?
we were supposed to fly the. Yes, can you hear me
Yeah,
still?
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. They said a lot of these polls that said we were going to lose in a landslide are back, saying that the public wanted impeachment, and they don't. And Congress was out of touch, and Congress is disliked. And we did a poll of 800 battleground state voters over the weekend on Sunday, Monday, and that includes Virginia. That includes some states that we lost, and Virginia's in that 17-state battlegrounds. But the voters said that they're opposed to impeachment. They don't like the big tech censorship. They want an orderly transition, and they think Congress is playing politics. It should be dealing with the coronavirus and not impeachment. So, and they were big numbers. I mean, 89% of the voters said they want the president to lead an orderly and peaceful transition. 77% think that Congress should make its priority to deal with the virus this week. Only 23% said impeachment. 74% of the voters agree that the efforts by Pelosi and Democrats are politically motivated,
Mm-hmm.
and they just want to prevent the president from running again.
Mm-hmm.
And 65% think that voters are, by continuing to attack the president, they're dividing the country, Biden and Pelosi, instead of bringing us together. And 48% to 36%, they said they're less likely to vote for a member of Congress who votes for impeachment. And that includes 80% of Trump voters, and we were 47% of the national electorate, and includes 76% of Republicans. So I don't know why they did this except for real politics at the worst time. And it was really, and the people know it. Outside the Beltway, it's a major disconnect between Congress and the American people.
These 10 Republicans that voted for impeachment yesterday, led by number 3 in leadership in the House, Liz Cheney of there's WMD's Go to War fame, the warmonger neocon of all time, the Halliburton group. What is the ramifications for them poll-wise? I mean, are we going to do a poll to see of these 10 Republicans, how they stand with the base soon?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be individuals that do it because they see and feel the same numbers that I'm seeing. I mean, I've already gotten calls about other members of Congress candidates want to primary them. And I think they were driven by anger and probably they were paying attention to the mainstream media that was jiggering polls around to try to get, like, for example, the Morning Consult Politico poll had a 14-point skew. It was 50% Biden voters, only 36%. And
Right.
it said people favored impeachment, 48-44. Well, if you factor out the 14-point skew, it's the opposite. And in the base, it's really opposite. And so I think a lot of these Republican members either are deciding they're not going to run for re-election early, or they were driven by anger and not by, a real good look at the evidence and what was going on. Because the facts are the president didn't commit whatever allegations that Pelosi is alleging, and they're saying they're not going to take it up till after the inauguration. And the president, his video yesterday was excellent that he put out, and hopefully a lot of people got to see it. It was the White House put out a video where he was promising a peaceful and orderly transition. He rejected and condemned the violence. And he's been saying that since last week, but a lot of people don't know it because the media won't cover it unless they listen to your radio station. And big tech has been censoring us, which is ironic. So the president has lost his right to free speech. And that's what the voters are really concerned about. And the president mentioned it in his video, is that if they can censor the president of the United States and take away his right to free speech, they can take away the rights of free speech and the right of privacy for any American. And they're doing it all the time. So it's really distressing to conservatives. And they'll take it out in these primaries over the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So, John McLaughlin, let me ask you this. John McLaughlin and Associates, one of the most noted pollsters in America, has been around a very long time. You can go to his website. What's your website, John, so I don't get it wrong?
McLaughlinonline.com.
McLaughlinonline.com. McLaughlinonline.com. Go there. And John, also the president's pollster. So here's what we've been saying for a week now since all this has happened. We've been saying, look, we are the Republican Party. The Trump movement is the party. All the McConnells are right now. All they have left of the party is Goldman Sachs, banks on Wall Street, and a donor list, right? They have no base. We represent the base. So how do we organize ourselves based on your polling and primary these feckless weasel Republican losers that are selling us out by the hour? How do we do this and do, based on your polling, does the base have the numbers to get new leadership, to get new leaders?
Absolutely, because for those of us, we met during the Forbes campaign.
Yep.
Go back to the Reagan campaign. They did the same thing when Reagan lost in '76 to Gerald Ford. They ostracized us. They said we'd never work again. The corporate people hate us. Reagan was too conservative. He was going to blow up the world. As Jimmy Carter failed, the Reagan people took over the Republican Party, whether it was precinct by precinct, county level, state level, and then they nominated the candidates, and we picked up seats in '78, and in '80 we won the whole thing in a landslide. So, you can take your lesson from Ronald Reagan and the conservatives, and we took over the Republican Party back then. And with President Trump, it's even more electric right now. It's bigger numbers, and all we got to do is exercise our democratic rights and freedoms and make sure we have honest elections next time around.
Oh my God, John, I forgot about that. I can't believe you brought that up. That's the model. That is exactly what happened. I was 18, 19. In 1976, I was at the Kansas City Convention. They blackballed everybody that was for Reagan. Told them they wouldn't get jobs. I forgot about this, right?
Yes.
They blackballed them all. And let me just tell this story. I was from New Jersey, as you were. I think we got $60 a week or $70 a week. I got $10 a day. Whatever I did there was I manned the payphones or something. I remember going back, and I remember talking to Jeff Bell, bless his heart, now deceased, who was one of the leaders there. And I said, and we were kind of like, what are we going to do? We're never going to, are they going to kick us out of college? Honestly. And I remember asking Jeff Bell, I'm like, Jeff, what are we going to do? And I'll never forget, he said to me at the airport in Kansas City, he looked at me and he said, I'm going to run against Clifford Case and beat him in a primary. That's what we're going to do. 2 years later, and he ran against Cliff Case, who was an iconic liberal Republican Ford supporter. Remember that? And beat him, right?
He was a friend. He was a friend, and we all volunteered for it. I was in New York. And
remember
I was
that?
Threatened by yes, absolutely. I remember it. And Jeff was a great friend, and we all took those threats, and we just said, okay, we'll show you.
Yep.
And Reagan was winning the race from 77 on through 1980. So there's a lot more Trump supporters right now within the party than there were Reagan supporters back then.
A lot more.
So,
I mean, it's a lot different. But yeah, we went through the same thing. We were all going to get blackballed. Nobody was going to get a job. Everybody was going to get drummed out. I remember then we started I started Young Americans for Freedom chapter in Middlesex County. I was like the chairman of that. I remember we just fought. And eventually we took the New Jersey Republican Party over. And it took some time, but we did that. And I think I ran for mayor of Edison or something. It was a long time ago. Yeah. And I got beat on absentee ballots at midnight, right? Same story 50 years ago. I got beat on absentee ballots at midnight. Let's get, you got time for a caller here, John.
Sure.
Let's get Darlene in Texas. Darlene, line 1, you're on with noted Trump pollster John McLaughlin. Darlene, go ahead.
I just love both of the contributions that you're making, to our party right now. I follow both of you guys on Twitter, and thank you for everything that you're doing. And the one thing that I think we need to continue to do is honor the legacy of what Trump did. And I love what Steve Bannon said. He said he put the American people at the head of the table. And we made significant changes in declining the ratings in Fox, declining the subscriptions to Netflix, and we can never forget our power of coming together. And the one thing I find interesting is Scott Pressler. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's got a great philosophy of targeting those swing states that have, or those states that have a trifecta that will allow us to either keep them red or flip them to red. And so if we've got supporters there that are wondering what to do or needing guidance or needing leadership, I think we start at that ground level and build up, and then we will find our leaders organically through our communities and then building them up throughout the party. And I've got a digital marketing agency, and I got to tell you, I've had so many people, so many of my clients call and say, how do I shut down my dollars to Facebook, to Twitter for silencing the conservatives? And, it just shows me the power that we have in numbers. People are willing to put their business marketing efforts on the line. They're willing to volunteer time. And I think we need to stay strong. It's the beauty of who we are. We get kicked down, but we stand up. And I just want to thank you, John. I'm going to make sure that I change my donations from GOP to your show, and we'll make sure we get that taken care of today. Okay?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Darlene in Texas. Just go to johnfredericksradio.com. And another caller I got, John McLaughlin, earlier said, hey, what about Win Red? Look, until we can figure out where this money's going, okay? Until we can figure it out, I just wouldn't send it. Darlene made a great point. Another thing that I forgot about, gets so many revelations here. We all abandoned Fox News, and their ratings have tanked. I forgot about that. And that was just like a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
They absolutely tanked. So we have so much power, we don't even realize we have it, John, right?
Exactly. And just think about these internet companies. They thrived when the governors of Virginia, George Allen and Jim Gilmore, fought for them not to be taxed. Well, guess who's going to tax them? The Democrats are going to tax them now. And you know what? They'll come back to us because they'll need us to stop the ridiculous taxes that we're about to see. So we'll keep up the good fight, and the people will get the message. But these people now that are taking away our freedoms and our privacy, they're going to pay a heavy price. And you can see it because while the market was going up or holding steady, the tech companies were losing billions just in the last couple of days. Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Twitter's value went down, what was it, 12%? It's going to continue to tank as people abandon the medium. Where does that show up? Like, at what point do their shareholders say, whoa, wait a minute?
Well, it depends upon the company, but there's a lawsuit now from Parler because when you think of the antitrust action that they have, that all of a sudden millions of people are leaving Twitter to go to Parler because they banned the president. And then what they do is they have Apple take Parler off their app store, and Amazon follows suit. And Parler is now sued in federal courts that it's antitrust. So hopefully it moves faster than the usual legal process. But as more and more voters leave Twitter, they listen. And by the way, listening to your show, I have European clients. They're telling me this went on in Europe. People would listen to Radio Free Europe. So we need now maybe Radio Free America, and you'll be the leader of it. But people are going to conservative talk radio. They're moving to Newsmax, One American News on TV. And they're going to conservative websites, and they're I'm getting more IMs on Facebook these days instead of hosts because of this.
Real America's Voice also, but I think there's going to be a resurgence in radio, because now we become now the community again, like we were. Yeah. I mean, back when Limbaugh started this, way before any of the social media. I mean, that was the community. That's where you went. And, now we have that opportunity again. And, look, they're going to try everything in the book. Remember, they had the fairness doctrine. They're going to roll that out again. But we got a lot of voters, John. There's 75 million people voted for Trump. My estimation, probably 25 million were just, Republicans that maybe held their nose. But we got 50 million solid people. And that's a bigger movement. I mean, you've inspired me today, because I forgot about the Ford-Reagan battle.
Yep.
And I forgot, and I remember, I guess it was 19. I mean, I was afraid I was going to get kicked out of college. I thought they were going to kick me off the baseball team.
Yep. I'm only a couple years older than you. I got the threat.
They put that fear in you, because 76? I was 20, right? 76. I was 20 years old. And I was afraid I was going to lose my baseball scholarship at Fairleigh Dickinson.
Wow.
Yeah, I was scared to death because they scared us and said, you'll never work again. We're going to track you down. We're going to follow you. And I went back. I'm like, I'm going to lose my scholarship. I'm going to get kicked off the baseball team because I was for Reagan. I forgot about that.
Did it help your batting average?
Well, I was a pitcher, but I did hit once in a while, but no.
No. So that was the major thing. But in the meantime, all we got to do is go back and decide how to win elections, and we should learn from losing. And we should make sure this doesn't happen again in the next 2 to 4 years.
John Fredericks Radio Network. Go to McLaughlinonline.com. McLaughlinonline.com. John, thank you. We got to have you on more, John. It's great to catch up, and you've inspired me since I was a very young man. And thank you, John.
Keep getting the truth out.
All right. McLaughlinonline.com.